Hello, Namaskar, Sat Shri Akal. As we are facing a difficult time, our government is doing very good things about us because so that we can survive. Because COVID-19 is a dangerous situation right now all over the world. To talk about the Ontario and jobs, we have Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation, and Trade of Ontario, Mr. Vic Fedley. Let's welcome. Minister, welcome.
Thank you very much, Arsh. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here with you today.
How are you? Hope your family and you is doing great.
Yes, we're doing fine. Thank you for asking. We're both healthy and staying safe, social distancing, and missing our family and friends like everybody else.
That's true. And nowadays, as normal days, you are busy now, I know, but Minister, Statistics Canada, they released its monthly job update, as you know, right, a few days back. And the numbers are going down and down every single day, we can say. But according to them, the numbers are really very low. So what is the action plan in Ontario?
Well, in Ontario, we've developed a couple of exciting programs. We have a new website that people can go on. It's Ontario Together. So it's ontario.ca/Ontario Together. 16,700 people have registered on this website with ideas to help our province. 3,700 businesses have registered offering to retool their plants to make personal protective equipment. So it's been very successful and very exciting.
So you talked about the website. It's called Ontario Together. So how do you name this website, Ontario Together? And what's the feedback from the people? As you said, approximately 17,000 people subscribe that. So after the many more subscriptions, what will that do to Ontario?
Well, what we've seen is a real groundswell, a real spirit of Ontario, of companies coming together and families who are now making personal protective equipment, masks, face shields, hand sanitizer. All of these products are being made on a small scale, and then in a minute I'll tell you on a big scale. I had was an immigrant who's been here 12 years called and said to me, I saw you on TV, you were talking about a company making 300,000 face shields. My three daughters and I are making 1,000 to donate to the hospital. He said, us little guys will keep making the product until the big guys are ready to deliver. And that just touched my heart. He captured the spirit of Ontario, this man and his three daughters. And companies, I could tell you stories right across Ontario like that. They've been pitching in, but now the big players, Ford, Honda, they're making hundreds of thousands of face shields every day. The auto parts makers, Magna, Linamar, Martin Rea, they're making parts for ventilators. We placed an order for 10,000 ventilators. Woodbridge, the big auto parts maker, they're making 1 million masks a week. Premier Ford picked up the first box off the end of their assembly line, delivered it to a hospital. Arsh, there's great stories.
That makes a really good thing because every single person is coming together to work for the community, to work for the country. So what's the position right now about the medical equipment? Like you said, small businesses, they are coming together and doing very many things for the community, for the Canada. Is there any funding involved in these kind of initiatives?
So these small companies are doing it all on their own, and we love their participation. The big companies, they're all in there on their own, and we love their participation because it's big volume. But what we now need is a secure place in Ontario that we can make our own personal protective equipment, make our own PPE. So we've put a $50 million fund available on that same website, Ontario Together, for companies to come together and talk about what can you retool your plant? Can you buy new equipment? This is for a permanent opportunity now, and start making face shields and hand sanitizer, masks, ventilators, gloves. What can you make on an ongoing basis that will supply Ontario, supply all of Canada, and allow us to export around the world, because we know around the world we'll be needing these products for quite some time.
So this funding is additional funding than the government providing because Mr. Trudeau, he sent some funding to the small businesses and the medium-sized businesses. Is that funding is included, or is the additional funding?
This is brand new extra funding specifically to help companies make PPE equipment that we can use in Ontario, use in Canada, and export around the world.
And what about the small businesses? Like PM Justin Trudeau, he said there will be 100% subsidy for the summer who are hiring the summer students or the summer jobs. So is there any additional funding for the summer jobs as well?
Here in Ontario, we've put $17 billion together. $3.7 billion is to be used for people and jobs, $3.3 billion for health, and $10 billion is available to help companies with their cash flow. So Ontario's end is $17 billion plus. We've allowed businesses not to have to pay their workplace insurance, like a workers' compensation, Ontario health tax that we have here. That's deferred. Your provincial share of your property taxes is deferred. In fact, any money that you are paying to the government in any kind of taxes are deferred, some for 3 months, some for 6 months. So there's a tremendous amount of money that the business community don't have to pay right now. For families, if you have children under 12, you automatically get a check for $200 for every child under 12. If you're a low-income senior, your guaranteed annual income supplement gains is doubled. You open your check this month, it'll be twice as big as the check last month. So there are many other ways our provincial government in Ontario and Premier Ford are supporting families.
In province, there are like as we talked about, there are like many job losses. Is there any funding about the new jobs creation?
Well, we will look for our recovery. So once we're through COVID-19, I mean, all the companies, they're like the horses in a gate, ready to break out. But we can't have a gallop. It will be a slower trot. We see a glimmer of hope. We see a bit of light at the end of the tunnel here in Ontario, but we don't want to unleash the business community too quickly. It will be slow but sure. So as we go through, we talk every day with exporters, manufacturers, chambers of commerce, retail council, tourist organizations, automakers, every sector we're communicating with. What do you need? What help do you need to get going? What are your successes? What are your challenges? So as we learn what the business community will need, we'll be able to assist them in every way we can.
Like in for federal government, they release a CERB, and today there is like update on the emergency benefit. What is your take on that? Is that the sufficient for the people for in the province?
Yeah, it's amazing how both the provincial governments and the federal government have come together hand in hand. So we sit at a table, electronically, of course. We sit at a table and say, all right, here's what the people need. How can we best deliver it? And the federal government was best positioned with unemployment insurance and the CERB. We were best positioned to bring money right to families with children. OSAP, our Ontario Student Assistance Program for college and university. We were best positioned to tell them, stop your payments, stop your interest. For our own seniors, we were best positioned to do that. So we've been at the table saying, who can do what the best? And so that's why you see what you see out there. We're not duplicating each other's programs. We're plugging all the gaps for families.
And province is calling the community to help out more. So what kind of help you are looking forward from the community?
Everything that a community can do. Deliver groceries to seniors. Pitch in where you can. Go on the Ontario Together website. You'll see the ideas others have. We'll ask you for your ideas. You know, we want you to love your families, but do it from a safe distance. We want you to follow the physical distancing rules and follow the rules that we've put in place in Ontario, because this will help us flatten the curve of COVID-19 and end this outbreak earlier. So that's what we need. We need good cooperation. For the essential businesses that are open, we say thank you to them. For the ones that unfortunately have had to stay closed, we did what the Premier calls the unthinkable. We had to shut down a good chunk of our economy. You know, we're asking you, don't be too cute by half. Don't look for loopholes. Follow the rules.
And there are some issues about the rental subsidy as well, because people are they demand that the province will give them the rental subsidy or something. Is province doing something about the rental subsidy or anything to the rent whoever is living on rents?
We understand, first of all, it's an arrangement you make with your landlord. Work it out with your landlord, where we want you to work together with your landlord. But we do understand the federal government has a program that they may be announcing sometime in the very near future, perhaps even this week, that involve some aspect of rental. So that's their area to take care of.
So you have any idea how many expected jobs people lose in Ontario in coming days?
Well, all I can say is before COVID-19, here in the province of Ontario, we had 300,000 new jobs created in the last 18 months. Our economy was just roaring. Our biggest issue was there were 250,000 jobs that went unfilled. So we know that as soon as this outbreak is over, our economy slowly will come back and we'll regain these jobs and try to go back to where we were and fill those 250,000 empty jobs. And it's because of the plan we put in place. So we're thankful that right across Canada, 76% of all new jobs were created right here in Ontario, and we expect to continue with that leadership role for the country.
So due to the economy loss due to COVID-19, is there any plan to bounce back the economy and stand out the economy so that the people will get more jobs in future?
Yeah, we have our plans and we'll be unveiling them as the time comes. But again, Ontario was the economic engine of the country. We expect to return to that position again and lead the country out of this situation. You'll hear more from us as we begin to open up businesses again. But again, we ask for patience. We ask people to follow the rules, and we'll be there for you at the other end to help you, especially with trade. We want to see us continue to build more in Ontario and to trade more around the world, and stop us being reliant on products from around the world.
As you said, province announced the budget and they provide funding to the province. Is there any more funding coming for the people in Ontario?
The Premier has said very clearly from the beginning that we are going to do everything we can to help our families. We want to make sure everybody has food on the table and a roof over their head. That's the prime issue. Our biggest concern is the well-being of our citizens. The next area that we're tackling, and I think we've done a great job right across the country, all provinces and the federal government, is keeping the business community in reasonable shape so that we can come out of this on the other end. And when we see the outbreak subsiding, then we'll be able to unleash the full power of Ontario's economy.
What kind of feedbacks you are getting from the people of Ontario? Because people are frustrated. They won't go out. Because in Ontario there are rules are really hard. 5 people can't be together, and bylaws they are issuing the ticket like $80 for one person. So what kind of feedback you are getting from the people?
Well, I would say to those people, don't break the rules and don't break the laws. Those are there to help you. They're there to protect your loved ones. We want people to follow these rules. So we will keep this strict regimen. We follow our medical officer of health's guidelines. We do everything we can to keep our families safe. We need the participation of individuals. Those rules are there to help you, to help your loved ones. So, we've heard from those who feel safe in their homes that they're grateful that we've put these rules in place, and they're frustrated when they look out and see groups still gathering. And that's why the bylaw enforcement officers are called in.
You know that Premier Ford, he was he said this is not acceptable that the test of the COVID-19 was not doing province is not doing that much test that they need, right? And he was frustrated that time. So the medical equipment, you said people are coming together and then they are donating the equipment. You think medical equipment or frontline workers, they get the equipment on the right time?
Yeah, I think you've seen Premier Ford. He was frustrated. I think his message got through loud and clear to the health community that he wants more testing done. We have the capacity now to do 14,000 a day. So we expect that the community to listen to the Premier's instructions. We've also seen a brand new product from Spartan in Ottawa, an Ottawa company. They just got Health Canada approval on what's called the Spartan Cube. It's a different type of testing. The test is delivered within an hour or less, actually. We ordered 900,000 of those testing kits from our very own Spartan here in Ontario.
Any special benefits to the frontline workers, to the health workers, the essential workers? So any type of benefits or packages for them?
Yeah, there are details that they're very aware of, but certainly healthcare opportunity. Long-term home care for their children. That opportunity, we just made some announcements about that today. A brand new announcement that's actually just coming out today about childcare services for our healthcare workers. So we are doing everything we can to thank our frontline healthcare workers who are doing so much for so many families. In our long-term home right now, healthcare workers can only work in one facility. They can't work in any other facility after they go into one. So that's new as of yesterday. So we continue to update our guidelines, our rules, and our regulations. It's very fluid, and I think it's also doing the job to make people and families and our seniors even safer.
There are many people who are working on work permits, especially in Brampton as well. So is there a special packages who are working on work permit in Canada or in Ontario?
I'm not familiar with anything particular. That falls more under the federal government's guidelines, and they're the ones who would have more of that information as opposed to the provincial representatives.
How closely province is working with the federal government? Because federal government, provincial government, they are working really hard to for the people of Canada, of Brampton. If you we will talk about the Brampton. So how closely you are working with the federal government?
On a daily basis. My ministry, my deputy ministers, and the federal government's deputy ministers are constantly in contact. I deal with 3 different ministers. We're talking to each other during the weeks constantly. The Premier Ford and the Prime Minister, but Premier Ford and primarily Chrystia Freeland, the Deputy Prime Minister, they will talk several times throughout the week, several times a day sometimes. So we are working, all politics aside, we are working hand in hand, doing great work for the people of Canada.
Minister, last week, a wage subsidy bill was passed. So it will be implemented in 1 or 2 days. So what is your take on the wage subsidy bill?
Well, again, we sit at the same table electronically and we find out, all right, what do we need for the businesses and for the families across the country? And what can the provinces contribute? What can the federal government contribute? Who's best able to get this money in the hands? So we've sort of divvied up all of the duties. where it's practical for the federal government to intervene with their, if they've got a better approach, they take it. When it's us, but we've worked together to make sure there are no gaps. We're filling all the gaps and sort of taking turns on who does what. So I think combined, all of the programs together are exactly what we need here in Ontario and right across the country.
Uh, as you know, many people are stuck in other countries as well. In Ontario, they lost their jobs as well. So, is there any chance they will get their jobs back, or is there any plan for them?
It's going to be a different economy when we return. There will be new types of businesses formed. Look at us now. Here we are communicating electronically. We see a huge opportunity for our IT sector. Our information technology sector is the second largest in North America, right here in Ontario. 375,000 workers, 22,000 IT companies. The fact that we're all switching to IT usage. I mean, I run my entire ministry on 3 Blackberries, a laptop, and a desktop, and 2 printers. That's how we work today. My office staff are spread all over Ontario. They're back in their homes. We're all working as if nothing is missing. And so I can tell you there will be new jobs created as we build new infrastructure, new networking capabilities. There are going to be huge opportunities. Others will be different. The jobs that were of the past a month ago may be gone in some cases, but great new opportunities are opening up. So as soon as the COVID-19 outbreak is over, we'll see where our economy goes, but we will be leaders in IT, automotive, advanced manufacturing, our resources. We did not shut our mining down here in Ontario at all. Other provinces did. So, our manufacturing is still open for the most part. Our construction, if you had a residential building permit, you can still build your houses, but there's no industrial or commercial construction. But if you're building healthcare or healthcare related, that is just on. Any provincial project of infrastructure is still being built. Our roads and highways are still being built, with all practicing social distancing. So it's a very different landscape, but it's still robust.
In Ontario, there is emergency period that is increased now, and this situation we are dealing with COVID. How you satisfied with the benefits are giving to the Canadians and to the Brampton people of Brampton or Ontario?
Well, I think we've provided an Ontario that's safe for them. And I think that's the part of why the Premier extended our emergency order for another period, is we want to make sure we're not out of the woods yet. We want to make sure that you, your families, and your loved ones are safe. And I think that's the underlying reason, because the number one priority is the well-being of all of our citizens.
So people, as you know, people are worried about their jobs, and government is doing whatever they can do for the people of Canada, people of Ontario. But in the future, what do you think when the economy will be back on the track?
Well, first, the outbreak has to end first, and we'll continue to take our advice from the medical officer of health, who will signal to us when things are loosening up. As the Premier said recently, Premier Ford said, there's a glimmer of hope there now that we're starting to see some light at the end of the tunnel. And so once we know that we are able to, once we get the signals from the medical community as well, we can start opening up the valves a little bit on the businesses.
At the end, what do you want to say to the people in Brampton and all over the Canada?
Love your families. Stay close when you're together, and stay far apart when you haven't seen each other. We need you to social distance, practice your safety, follow the rules, and we will come out of this even stronger on the other end.
Thank you so much once again, and thank you for your answers.
Thank you very, very kindly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So today we talked with the Minister Vic Federley, and he gave us answers about the economy, about the jobs. So ਅਸੀਂ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਹੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਰਵਾਂਗੇ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਵਾਉਂਦੇ ਰਹੀਏ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰਸ ਦੀ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਆਨਸਰ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਰਹੀਏ ਕੁਐਸਚਨਸ ਦਾ ਕਿ ਕੀ ਕੁਝ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਇਕਨੋਮੀ ਨੂੰ ਵਾਪਸ ਦੇ ਲਈ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਹ ਸਾਲ ਇਕਨੋਮੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਉਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਮਾੜੀ ਹਾਲਤ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਹਿਣ ਵਾਲੀ ਹੈ। ਪਰ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਅੰਦਾਜ਼ਾ ਲਗਾਈਏ ਤਾਂ 2021 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇਕਨੋਮੀ ਆ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਬਾਉਂਸ ਬੈਕ ਹੋਵੇਗੀ। ਤੋ ਉਮੀਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਸ ਸਿਚੁਏਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਛੇਤੀ ਹੀ ਲੰਘ ਜਾਈਏ। ਸੋ ਸਟੇ ਐਟ ਹੋਮ ਤੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਤੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਘਰਦਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਹੀ ਖਿਆਲ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਰਹੋ ਤੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਦਿਓ ਇਜਾਜ਼ਤ। ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ।